in a place like Nigeria where management leadership is failing very badly, automatically creativity and innovation becomes the new management.
So, Dr. Emeka Okor, welcome to the podcast. Just for listeners out there, do you want to give people a brief story about your origin story, how you got here?
Okay, so basically you've said it all. My name is Douglas Emeka Okor. I don't do the title thing, whether doctor or mister. Most of them, when I introduce myself, my name is Douglas Emeka Okor. Forget about the doctor or the mister. Okay. So basically I did my primary, secondary medical school in Nigeria. Went to University of Benin, same with you as well. And then I left Nigeria in early 2006 to pursue my dreams to become a brain surgeon in the UK. That was a very challenging experience, but somehow I got through that. Completed my training in 2015. Yeah, that's fine. To become a skull-based neurovascular neurosurgeon, and then moved back to Nigeria August 2016. Was flip-flopping initially, spending a few months in UK and in Nigeria, and then finally fully moved back to Nigeria in May 2017. And since I moved back to Nigeria, I've been doing lots of complex spinal stuff as well. So in terms of my subspecialization, it is skull-based, neurovascular, and complex spine as well. So that's just a bit about me.
Yes, I see that from recent times, one of the things I've seen you doing is leading seminars, hot topics, and trainings for other medical professionals and other people generally on neurocritical care and its importance. Just segueing slightly, the healthcare system in Nigeria, I've listened to a lot of your talks on both our Rise TV channels on the challenges we face there. And you are someone that is very, very passionate about how you describe it, the Nigerian health ecosystem. One of the things I like to find out from medical professionals is what do you see is going on in Nigeria, and what do you think we need to do? How do we start the change back home to continue improvement?
I think in terms of the pushing for the change is multi-pronged. It cannot be one thing. Okay, it's a combination of things. One of the things I state very clearly every time I'm being interviewed is that no individual group, organization, state, province, country, region does well without pressure. You need some level of pressure to actually do well. Okay, you need to actually need some pressure to actually push you to actually up your game to actually do well. Okay, so what the Nigerian healthcare system or sector needs, like any other sector in Nigeria that is struggling, and most of the sectors in Nigeria are struggling. Whether you talk about education, health, banking. Most of them are struggling, but I think it's more painful in healthcare because healthcare actually deals with life and limb. So I think it's a little bit more painful there. Now, how do you actually make that change? Because it's multi-pronged. It's not one thing at all. One of the key things I'm really passionate about is what we are doing now on your podcast, and that is about actually providing information for Nigerians. We need to empower Nigerians with information. And what now happens is that the Nigerians will start putting pressure on the systems, whatever the system is, be it at primary level care, secondary level care, tertiary level care, and that will now make all these systems start, sort of improving their standards and raising their banner in terms of their standards and all that. So one of the key things is pressure. You need to put pressure on the system. Most of the things that I do is I'm actually more into disruption. Disruption actually puts pressure. In Nigeria, we are used to doing things a particular way. One of the things that my presence has done, at least in my own small area of influence, is to actually disrupt things, to actually make people start thinking about how they do things and how they act. Okay, so it's multi-pronged. It's not one thing.
Okay, I like that term. I like that term that you use, disruption. So it's disrupting the status quo.
Absolutely.
I think it's one of the new things going on, how the sectors you change what the tradition is and flip it on its head and do something completely different. Because you know what Absolutely. They say is that we've been doing the same thing for this number of years and it hasn't worked. So something has to give.
Absolutely, Tyro.
Do you mind sharing a small example of any a form of disruption that can happen or people can think about, if there are any other healthcare people with passion listening that they might try in their own ecosystem?
Okay, so basically one of the things I've really pushed for is more of engagement with quality improvement processes. Okay, I'll give you an example. You have a situation where maybe a patient and the family they have complaints. They are not happy about the care that they provided. And one of the things that I tried to do was that, okay, if you have issues with the care you provided, why don't you make a formal complaint and stuff like that? And I found out that from the healthcare provider side or even management, they are always scared that, oh no, they shouldn't complain. If anybody complains, then usually there will be scapegoating. They will look for somebody will look for somebody to be scapegoat and say, oh, this complication or this problem that this patient had or these worries that this patient has or concerns, we're going to scapegoat one person. And so one of the things that push, especially in some of the places where I provide care, is that, hey, no, it's not about scapegoating. It's about all of us pulling together, reviewing things, going through that quality improvement, having discussions, actually moving towards a point where we can actually have guidelines, protocols, and stuff that can actually help us. Anything that happens, we have to learn from it. Okay, so that's one of the strategies that I keep pushing. So now and again, if something happens with a patient, maybe there's a complication or there are problems that happen with the patient or with the family and all that, you see me making sure that all the teams that were involved and all the people and teams who were involved in the care of that patient actually push for a meeting to happen so we can actually review the issues that come up in that case and actually prescribe recommendations of how we can actually learn from those and how we can actually get better. So that's one of the key things that do. Trying to make the system or the organizations where I work, hey, we have to actually push for quality improvement processes, pull together, look at different things, and actually start developing guidelines and guidance within our own system, what can actually work for us. Because one of the things I talk about is the global way, isn't it? Thinking globally but acting locally. You cannot move anything from Canada or UK or US and come and put it in Nigeria, hook, line, and sinker. You must adapt it to the system here in Nigeria. One of the things I keep telling people is that, hey, the only way you can solve Nigerian problems is the Nigerian way, the best Nigerian way. Of course, you have to look at international best practices and all that. So that's one of the examples I'll give, actually pushing for quality improvement processes.
Nice. So we need to learn from feedback, essentially, and not be afraid of feedback as healthcare professionals back home.
Absolutely.
I think
absolutely.
You've talked about the guidelines and protocols. And as you're well aware, in the UK they've got NICE, the National Institute of Clinical Excellence. Are we now forming something similar at home, or do we have one already? Obviously, there's the MD-CAN themselves, but is there somebody that is independent of MD-CAN or like an offshoot that is looking to get all these things out in place? For instance, do you know any of any, or are you working on any?
I think NICE as an organization that pushes for quality and standards and stuff like that, or the CQC, for example, those are bodies in UK, for example, that actually push for standards and all that. In Nigeria, if you're trying to look for a body that at a national level, for example, that actually pushes for those things, it is a major struggle. One of the fundamental problems we have with Nigeria is regulation. Regulation is extremely weak. Extremely weak. And so one of the problems that you have in a place like Nigeria, and probably maybe other African countries, sub-Saharan African countries, is that you're now depending on the individual to have what we call local policies, use his church mind. So the individual will say, okay, I think I'll do well for the patient, I'll do good and stuff like that. And I keep telling them that cannot work. Okay, you actually have to have some sort of regional, organizational, or national platforms that actually can push things in terms of standards, in terms of clinical excellence and stuff. And so far, we are struggling with that. One of the things that we sort of the halfway house that we have in Nigeria is that you actually have associations and organizations or groups of healthcare professionals that try to actually create their own standards. For example, in obstetrics and gynecology, you have the Society for Obstetrics and Gynecology of Nigeria. For example, they actually try to push for guidelines for things like cervical cancer screening and stuff like that. Okay. Presently, the Nigerian Academy of Neurological Surgeons, okay, they are pushing for a particular guideline in terms of management of severe head injury and stuff like that. So there are those sort of organizations, associations, of healthcare professionals that are trying to move, but at a national level, from the Federal Ministry of Health, for example, okay, yeah, you do have some sort of policy statements, white papers here and there and stuff like that. But when it comes to having a body, like NICE, for example, the CQC that look at regulation and look at things like clinical excellence and standards and stuff like that, we don't really have that yet.
Okay, all right. So I think it's like you said, there are pockets and organizations that are doing things that people can use and work with. Okay, so at least it's something people can go on. All right. I mean, what we've talked about how what the healthcare sector looks like. For doctors abroad, for instance, there are, give or take, I think at the count of, there are almost 10,000 Nigerian doctors based in the UK. If I was to plus or minus, there's the group that you are part of as well, the MANSA group, and there's the group that we've got, the ND UK, Nigerian Doctors in UK. Off the top of my head, they have more than 7,000 members. So as a group in Diaspora, what would you say to all the doctors? What can they do as their own contribution? What can each person do, either as an individual or as a group, that can at least turn a tiny screw of progress?
I think Taiwo, this is a question I get asked most of the time, because somehow I'm like a bridge, isn't it? So I get asked this question most of the time. And the first thing I'll say regarding this is that, hey, wherever you are, okay, as a healthcare professional, not just doctors, nurses, physiotherapists, and the likes, wherever you are, whether you're in UK, Canada, Australia, Northern Ireland, the USA, or whatever happens within the healthcare system in Nigeria will affect you, because you probably have parents, siblings, relatives in Nigeria. Okay, and I remember once upon a time on one of the platforms, where UK doctors platform, someone was telling them, "Oh, I've taken on a real big job here. I hope I succeed." And my reply to him was this: I hope for your sake I succeed as well. And of course, generally, most of the time, whenever these of my colleagues are abroad, whenever they have any of their family members that runs into trouble with the neurosurgical problem, guess who they call? They actually become really grateful that someone like Douglas Okor is in Nigeria. Okay, so basically, how can the Nigerian diaspora, in terms of healthcare professionals, how can they support what's happening in Nigeria? Key things, you understand, is actually just dedicating their time and resources. Okay, now let me state this very clearly, Taiwo. Coming back to Nigeria is not for everybody. Every Nigerian healthcare professional outside Nigeria cannot come back to Nigeria. It is not for babies. You have to have some grit and some extreme stamina to actually, like, so I keep telling people that people think I'm some sort of Ajepo. You know Ajepo? Local farmers Ajepo. I'm not an Ajepo in the mirror. I'm a real Paku area boy. That's why someone like me can survive in Nigeria. Anyhow they want to do now. If they want to do pidgin English, we will speak. If they want to speak English, anyhow, I'm ready for them. Okay, so it's not for everybody. You have to have that extra passion, that extra motivation, and you have to, like I say, have stamina. So it's not for everybody. So everybody does not need to come back, but I expect a significant number of Nigerian healthcare professionals outside Nigeria in the diaspora to commit their time and resources. So, for example, okay, people can take sabbaticals. 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, and come and support whatever area in Nigeria. One of the key problems we have in Nigeria is human resource for health. And what I'm talking about is actually their capacity in terms of knowledge, experience, competence. It is extremely weak. Now, one of the things that and thank God, we have this, what we're doing, we have technology, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, we are planning a neurocritical care course where we're actually going to do a physical venue and virtual Zoom combined together in one. Okay, so it's all about using that technology to actually build capacity of the healthcare professionals in Nigeria. And of course, when things, for example, like contributing money to actually build clinical skills labs and stuff, maybe in the universities where they actually went to. So those are things that they can actually do. Everybody cannot come back to Nigeria, but they can contribute. So those are two key things: building capacity in terms of training, and secondly, committing resources to things like clinical skills labs and stuff like that.
Marvelous, marvelous. I think that's one of the things that a lot of us have struggled with. We keep cracking our mind. Okay, what can you do? I personally, obviously, I'd come back for a while, but I came back to the UK, and like you said, I found it a big struggle just to try and adapt my mentality back to what was going down at home. continuing on that, I just realized, I remember you have got a charity that you set up, the ASHANTI GRAHAM AGHEIF Association. Is that correct?
Yeah, the ASHANTI GRAHAM Health and Education Initiative Foundation.
Foundation, yes. And if I know the names came from both of your kids, Ashanti and Graham. So that's why I watched one of the videos. I was like, oh, that's where that came from. And there's a lot that they've been doing as well. Do you mind just shedding some light as to where they focused on, what they can do, and how other people can be involved as well? So
basically, the Ashanti, we'll call it AGHEIF for short. So AGHEIF was started up, is a charity that is registered in Nigeria, a non-governmental organization. So it was started up by my wife and myself. My wife is Lorrietta Okor, but she's a gynecologist. So it was started up by both of us in 2010. Okay, 2000, so that's almost 10 years ago now. And basically, what we were just trying to do was to stimulate change within the healthcare system. We said our push was 21st century healthcare for Nigeria, which means the kind of healthcare that is of some level of standard, similar to what we have in places like UK, Europe, US, Australia, stuff like that. So that was our push. And then so we focused on a few things. We focused on number one, on trying to actually show, especially the young people in young healthcare professionals in Nigeria, hey, there are some things that can be done. So we donated equipment going to millions, to specifically the neurosurgical unit and the obstetrics and gynecology unit in University of Benin Teaching Hospital, where we trained as medical students. Okay, so we were going to millions to those departments basically in Nigeria. And then one of the other things we've done was to try and motivate, like I said, the young healthcare professionals who are coming up. And so we started what we call the ASHANTI GRAHAM Prize an award for the best student in surgery. So usually when the medical students that graduated to become doctors, in their induction ceremony, we were given a prize of a laptop and £100. And in the last 2 years, somebody else started supporting us, and now we are giving £200 and a brand new laptop to the best student in surgery. Now you know that there are different courses that you study before you actually complete your medical education to become a doctor. Now we picked up surgery, and that's because myself and my wife, we are surgeons. My wife's a gynecologist, I'm a brain surgeon. So we picked up surgery. And so what we're trying to do was, what we're trying to do is that, there's space for pediatrics, space for medicine, space for pathology. So other people who are in UK or the US or whatever can actually start doing their own awards for those people. It's just to try and inspire people to do better and all that. And I can tell you, we've been running this award last 9 years now, and in fact, each of them had a laptop and £100 each. Okay, so we've been doing this for the last 9 years. And if you look at the data in terms of the way the students are performing in surgery, it has significantly improved. In fact, the ASHANTI GRAHAM Prize for best student in surgery is like the highlight of the induction ceremony in University of Benin University of Benin. I remember I watched
a couple. I watched a couple.
Yeah, absolutely.
One from 3 years ago. I think I watched that one. It was quite a feat. That honestly, like you said, it actually now gives opportunity for someone to come and do something similar, like a spin-off for medicine, pediatrics as well. So it does make a lot of sense. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I really found that right.
So one of the things I've done, one of the things and of course my wife as well with this organization, with other things that we do, is to actually stimulate change. And one of the things that we lead from the front. If you notice, I don't just make noise. You always see me taking action as well. Yeah, there's always action for whatever I'm doing. I don't just make noise. Actually taking action. It's absolutely important. It is those actions that actually motivate. I can tell you that there are hundreds of young medical students, nurses, healthcare professionals that even from afar, I mentor from afar, just by seeing the kind of work I do and the push and all the zeal and passion that they are motivated, and that's how you can actually bring change.
T-shirt you're wearing, it says doconwheels.ng. For those on YouTube or on podcast I can't see, he's wearing a very fancy T-shirt. Can you tell us more about this?
Actually, Doc on Wheels is one of my junior colleagues, Kenny, is actually his brainchild. him and his team. What they were trying to do, you know, with the coronavirus, all the issues with coronavirus and people not being able to go into a hospital, people being scared of going to hospital. Of course, we know why. One of the things we were trying to do was to try and establish an Uber-style primary healthcare provision system. Okay, where somebody in the comfort of their own house goes onto an app, okay, and then tries to get the closest doctor to him or her, okay, and actually come and provide some sort of home service. And of course, it's going to be mainly issues to do with primary level care, okay. So that's doctors on wheels. That's what. So that Uber-styled primary healthcare provision service, okay, using a mobile app. So that's what's documented. And of course, the key issue of being able to be creative and innovative, okay, disruption again. Because thinking outside the box, thinking laterally. In a place like Nigeria where management leadership is failing very badly, automatically creativity and innovation becomes the new management.
Thank you so much, Douglas. So the key takeaway message for doctors or healthcare professionals in Diaspora especially is that dedicate your time and resources. Everyone probably expect us to all chip in at some point to do that. Moving back is not for everyone. And if you can help the capacity building through training programs, something similar to what you're doing, the neurocritical care program, that will also be handy. So Douglas, before we round up the podcast, for my guests, I usually tend to ask some thoughtful questions for people to ponder about. So I've got 3 for you. The first one is, in the last 5 years, are there any habits that you have picked up that you found to have boosted your productivity?
A few things for me, because I'm not a very patient person. I'm very patient. So coming back to Nigeria with the difficulties in Nigeria, the inefficiencies, the gaps within the system and stuff, I'd have had to learn how to be patient. Okay. Things don't come like you have to learn some patience. Second thing I've actually learned, or second skill I've actually tried to build up, is the ability to listen a little bit more. Okay, I've tried that. I won't say I'm a great listener yet, but I'm definitely much better than before I came back to Nigeria. And of course, it's not a new skill, but a skill I probably always have, but I've had to actually build up on it a little bit more. And that's the skill of actually being creative and innovative. Okay, you have, in a place like Nigeria, you have to think outside the box, man. You know, in a place like UK, you need this, you have it, you get it. So no, in a place like Nigeria, you have to find other ways of doing things. You have to be very, very innovative. Very, very innovative. If not, you struggle. You struggle.
Yeah.
Okay. So I can say those are 2 things. 3 things I picked up. You understand? Number 1, patience. Number 2, listening a little bit more. And number 3, okay, just there are some really just building up on those innovative juices and stuff, and actually applying. I'm a very pragmatic human being. I keep telling you, I'm not an academic person. You know, everything, if I think of stats or numbers and stuff, in my mind, I say, all this is how am I going to apply them in real life to actually impact on people.
Fair enough. Oh, good, man. If there was one thing you could change about Nigeria or Nigerian people, what would that be?
Oh, absolutely, the attitude. Absolutely, the attitude is let me not use words that people like. The attitude is
There's a lot of words for the attitude. That's what we say. Okay.
Absolutely.
That's good.
Thank you for that. So the third question, I know you actually mentor a lot of junior doctors and medical students in Nigeria, and you're a role model to a lot of people. But for you yourself, who would you say has influenced you or has been a mentor to you? It could either be someone you know personally, have met physically, or someone you look up to or have read books regarding them.
Role models. I think role models, in terms of having someone I'm actually looking at physically, someone I talk to and stuff like that. I've struggled with actually having role models in terms of physical role models. I've struggled with having role models. But yeah, there's this gentleman, Biodo Ogumbo, who actually trained me in the UK, came back to Nigeria about 7 years ago. And then when I actually moved back to Nigeria, I joined him. He actually demystified neurosurgery for me. So now and again, when I give talks like this, I call his name, and we're not together anymore. in terms of doing stuff together. But in terms of role models, my role models are from afar. Some people like, I remember when I was like 25, and Ben Carson, my wife bought like a few of his books for me and stuff. So that's one of my role models. And believe it or not, Barack Obama, one of my role models. I remember one of his commencement speech in, I think, was it 2008, in one of the schools, and he was talking about really important. He was talking about building up your body of work. That's the word. We're talking about your body of work. Okay, and I think that's extremely important. Your body of work. It doesn't come in one day. It is the accumulation of everything that you've been doing. You know, that gets to the point that people now actually recognize you and understand your value and so on. So that's really, really important. That body should look like to blow. You understand? You want to blow.
Talking about Barack Obama, I'm just checking.
No, in that speech, I remember Obama talked about building up. You know, absolutely important. So in terms of mentors, most of my mentors are people who I look up to are from afar. Mm-hmm. In Nigeria, in a place like Nigeria, difficult to have mentors. Extremely difficult. And that's the reason is that because of the harsh economic situations in Nigeria, the very underdeveloped nature of our economy and stuff, there seems to be this thing of everybody struggling to get their own. So, of course, the selfishness is more, the ability to actually look out for the people, and look out for the community is much, much less. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay? So that community spirit and everything is gone, and everybody's struggling for their own. And so when people are struggling for their own, people now focus more on money, on how they can get money. People don't actually focus on how can we improve the lives of people? How can we, I've come into this place now. I've come into this organization. How do I actually improve this organization? How do we move things from this level to another? How do you improve the standard? So usually that is not the key thing that people are actually focused on. Because of the poverty, because of the poor economic indices, because of the struggles in terms of our level of development, everybody's like, hey, I need to get my own. So you now find that people now focus more on survival than on actually what their vision should be. Okay, so it's a major problem.
Okay. Nice. So we've got Barack Obama there and Ben Carson. Yes, two great people, honestly. And I don't know, it's interesting if you have the time to look at it. I think Barack Obama has a new book out called The Promised Land. That's why I was just checking for the title now. Because someone had messaged me about the book. Interestingly, it's on my to read list as one of those to read list books that we all have. But thank you very much. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. And if people want to connect with you on social media, how is the best way to do that?
Yeah, so Instagram, I'm at Douglas Okor, and Twitter is also as well. It's at Douglas Okor. On Facebook, I'm not Douglas Okor. So on Facebook, I am ASHANTI GRAHAM, HEIF. So HEIF is one. So it's ASHANTI GRAHAM, HEIF. Mm-hmm.
Okay, for people.
And of course, on LinkedIn, I'm Douglas Emeka Okor.
Yes, I think for listeners, I'll definitely put all the handles in the description and the notes below for people to be able to contact you if they have any interest, questions, or they want to support the charity or do anything in that light. I've got a lot of fellow colleagues that also listen to the podcast. All right, thank you so much for coming on Dr. Tosin's podcast. And do you have any final words you'd like to share before we go?
Well, my final word is this. We have struggled with the healthcare system in Nigeria for years, more than 40 years or so. Things have gotten really bad. It is not all doom and gloom. We do have an opportunity to actually raise the bar in terms of the standards of providing healthcare in Nigeria. It's not going to be small work. It's going to be significant work. The Diaspora, the healthcare professionals in the Diaspora have a significant role to play. And I'm talking about two key areas where they can actually play that role. Now and again, I hear people talk about, it's all doom and gloom. I think we should raise our hands and throw our hands up and give up. And one of the things I say is that giving up is actually not an option at all. It has never been an option. Until tomorrow, it will not be an option. Because, like I will always say, the Nigerian patients are worth it.